If you had to use one word to describe our collaboration between SAI and Kuhne + Nagel, what would it be?
I think a positive can-do attitude.
That's one of our core values.
That's very good to know. Okay, that's coincidental, but that's really, really good to know.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Cieszczyk. I'm managing Google Cloud Competence Center here at SAI. My guest today is Tom Sonecki, Global Product and Engineering Manager at Kuhne + Nagel. Hello, Tom. It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Sebastian. It's great to visit SAI in Warsaw.
Thank you. Could you briefly describe your role in organization?
Yes, the organization that I work in, that I lead certain teams in, is the innovation team. The innovation team within the Road business unit. What do? We innovate. We innovate on behalf of our customers. We innovate on behalf of our employees. And we differentiate between buzzwords and tech trends that live for a month and big tech trends that really change our industry. We use those to innovate, to bring new solutions, new applications that help us drive our business forward.
I believe that innovation is a keyword in all logistics area because people tend to forget that logistics is one of the most important brands all over the world because the whole globalization was possible because of logistics. And your industry is under current pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You are always on the forefront. You are always implementing newest technology. What's the biggest challenge at the moment in front of you?
We are at the forefront of supply chain. Logistics has always been there. It's been there since third year before Christ. Try to imagine a world without logistics.
In current world, it's not possible, completely not possible. On the other hand, people are not aware of how big is your impact.
Exactly. Everything we touch, this glass, this table, it has had a journey. It's come from a manufacturer to us, the consumers. So the pressures that we see in the logistics right now, they come and go. There are peaks and troughs. Logistics is about people. It's about connecting consumers, it's about connecting suppliers to make sure that things move from A to B. I look at the challenge of logistics as an art. It's an art of moving things from A to B in the most efficient, effective, cost-effective, sustainable way there can be. And we are really leaders in doing that. But in the world that we live in right now, we need technology. And my role is there to bring that technology to our people, to bring that technology to our customers, to understand what is a current trend and potentially something that's only cool for a month and something that is really groundbreaking.
Speaking about your customers, are there areas, are there brands or categories that are the most demanding?
I think the challenge comes with global reach versus local nuances. We have systems that are global, but we have customers that have local expectations. We're trying to normalize certain things for our customers across the world, but we have to be very careful about the expectations of users in different geographies, about the way users use our systems, about governments that have different policies and how we comply with these policies while giving a very localized environment for our customers, our employees, and our suppliers. I think this is the biggest challenge where you try to normalize the data. You try to have a very, very global view, but compliant with the needs and wants of the local users.
From IT perspective, you need to have as general as possible solutions, which are also capable of serving to users at the very end of the chain, to serve to all their needs and all their specific requirements, because they are a bit different, depends on where they live.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we see it's very interesting. Once we started rolling out one of our latest systems, we had expectations of how the users will be using it. And there were small surprises. There were big surprises, there were small surprises. Even differences between European countries, where we really roll out the same system, it's just in different languages, it's localized. But the user behavior is completely different. And we have to be able to deal with that, because IT is there to help people. It's not for people to follow the process and click 50 times. It's about people actually having a system that makes their life easier.
And you mentioned that Kuehne + Nagel is more than 80,000 people all over the world.
Yes.
What prompted this decision to cooperate technologically with SII?
Again, really interesting question. At Kuehne + Nagel, we're quite proud of building software ourselves because we understand our needs. We build software that is very close to our business.
It's always the tailored software. No,
it
out
is
of the
quite
box.
tailored. So we do obviously sometimes, as any company, buy software off the shelf, but for our key operational aspects, we understand our business. It's a very specific business, and we find that building software ourselves has served us very well. And so we're continuing on that. But we're in the very digital age. We're in the cloud age now. And we have a lot of colleagues at Kuehne + Nagel that are very competent in building in the cloud. But this is a massive shift. We are moving everything to the cloud. And having a partner such as SII helps us bring a lot more expertise a lot faster when we do that change, because we have to be quick. We have to be swift. We cannot be taking years to make that change. So bringing in someone who has that understanding, who has expertise that we do not have enough of, to help us make that leap is the reason why we cooperate.
Tom, speaking of your technological adventure,
Yes.
could you briefly describe one of the projects that SII and Kuehne + Nagel partnered on?
Absolutely. So we're continuing to partner on a lot of projects. I think the one I'm really proud of is a cloud-native application that we've started developing mid last year. It has now gone to almost 40 countries. We have 15,000 suppliers onboarded on that platform. Very quickly, with a small team, cloud native. It's one of those applications that has a global impact, but as we roll out to different countries, we are always confronted with those local needs and local changes that we have to make. And the way we've built this together with SII is the application keeps a very clear global standard, but is able to cope with these local nuances without breaking the application for everyone else and bloating for the users that don't use certain features.
If you had to use one word to describe our collaboration between SII and Kuehne + Nagel, what would it be?
I like talking. I don't think I can give you one word.
Then let's extend it.
I will extend it. But if I think about the team, about the people that I have within my organization, I think a positive can-do attitude.
That's one of our core values.
Well, that's very good to know. Okay, that's coincidental, but that's really good to know.
I think you were able to apply here startup-like mindset because you built something from scratch and it was purely cloud native since the very beginning.
Yes.
Was that a key to success?
I think so. I think I really like talking about the startup mindset. When you're in a startup, you have nothing to lose, right? You say, well, what if? Let's try it. When you work in a very large enterprise, if you're able to position it well, you have both the capital and the security of working in a large corporation, which is very important, while you can try and innovate in a startup-like mindset. I know the two ideas clash. You cannot be both stable and secure and be a startup mindset. But if you build it well, if you ring fence it and start small to try things out, that is possible. And I think that was the key to success And that is what I try to bring to all my teams, to have that childlike curiosity.
Speaking of teams,
Yes.
your teams are quite often distributed,
Yes.
and this is completely in the origin of SII because I'm here for 8 years, and since the very beginning I worked with completely distributed teams. Do you treat that as a risk or an opportunity?
Well, anything is a risk and an opportunity. It's a balancing act. With distributed teams, I think the benefits massively outweigh the risks. You have access to global talent. You have access to people that are potentially really interested in your product. They just happen to not be in the place where you are. The risk is you don't have the connection. I spoke to a colleague, a mentor of mine, and we got into this discussion about distributed teams. And we came to this realization that distributed teams are a little bit like a long-distance relationship. It can be really good, but you have to invest a lot of time and effort into communication. You have to have systems that bring people together. But that benefit of having people with the talent, potentially working extended hours because people are in different time zones, which actually gives you better coverage across time zones if you have a global product, that is a one other aspect that is sometimes very much overlooked is if you're building global systems, really for a global community, having a distributed team allows you to bring in people from different cultures, from different backgrounds. If you have a good spread of people from those different backgrounds in your team, they will bring in a different perspective. They will bring in different contexts. And that can make a product very, very successful because you're not building a very homogeneous product built by one type of person for one type of person. You're building really a global product. If you make a mistake, again, coming back to the startup-like mentality, you go back. There are very few decisions that we make in the business world that are one-way door decisions. What I mean by one-way door decisions, you make that decision and you cannot come back. But if you're making a decision about an application and everyone has shared their opinion and you say, okay, let's go, let's try it. You try it and after 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, you say, okay, that was a mistake. You just go back. You cannot be afraid of going back and say, okay, we're going to try it again. We're going to do it differently. Someone else had a different idea. Let's try it this way. So you have to be very fast at trying, failing, and then succeeding.
So as usual, it's a race on the market and Kuhn & Nagel is one of the leaders. How this align with Kuhn & Nagel Roadmap 2026?
The Roadmap 2026 is at utmost importance to us. For anyone watching, you can actually look up Kuhn & Nagel Roadmap 2026. There's a whole microsite. I encourage you to do so. It has 4 cornerstones: digital ecosystem, living ESG, market potential, and KN experience. And I particularly say KN experience right at the end. The 2 of the cornerstones that we touch the most with the work that my organization does is obviously the digital ecosystem and KN experience. Digital ecosystem is easy to understand. It's about more digital, being cloud native, moving things faster, having real-time information at your fingertips. KN experience is actually very easy to explain.
But sounds like a broad term.
It is a very broad term. You're absolutely right. It is about making sure that our employees and our customers have a great KN experience, whatever that means. It means that we deliver services, products, experiences that are memorable to these customers. And with the solutions that we bring to the market, we're making things easier, we're making things better for our customers. And that should lead to a great KN experience.
Kuhn & Nagel is at the forefront of implementing cloud into your environments, into your business.
Yes.
I believe it was challenging at the very beginning. What were the biggest challenges that you faced?
If you have a company that started yesterday, then you are cloud native. In my opinion, there is no other way. You are starting in the cloud. You have very little data, you have very few people, it's very simple to align them. It's like that.
And it's the cheapest way,
And it's the
most
cheapest
cases.
way most of the time. And now imagine you have a company that's over 100 years old, that has been on this market for generations, that is a household. We have systems that were built in the 90s. I mean, we have a lot of new systems, but we also have systems that were built in the 90s. When the cloud was not even a term, when we talked about the cloud back then, we looked up at the sky. One of the challenges we face and we will continue facing is this migration, this moving systems from an environment where they feel comfortable to an environment where they potentially do not feel comfortable. And it's a very challenging time because if you're investing in the cloud, you're going to start looking at your overall ecosystem. Are there systems that are fit for the cloud and you move them to the cloud? Are there systems that have now reached their end of life cycle and you're actually going to start shutting these systems down while you rebuild that functionality in the cloud?
We are speaking of cloud computing. Another buzzword for the time is artificial intelligence. Do you believe that AI is another revolution also in logistics?
Honestly, I would stop calling it a buzzword right now. I know some people use it as a buzzword without knowing what it means, but I truly believe that AI, if used correctly, and it will be, can make a quantum leap to logistics industry. The logistics industry is continuously evolving. Any technology that comes in, we look at it. Part of my role is to look at all the tech trends and see which ones actually make a difference and which ones are, like you said, a buzzword. But AI has been here for many, many years. With the changes now into generative AI, I truly believe that not embracing AI is a foolish strategy. We have to embrace AI because it will make us 10 times better.
I'm wondering if you already see areas in your daily business where AI may be really, really useful.
When talking about AI, we have to be both pragmatic, careful, and excited. I love the excitement around AI, and that needs to continue because AI can really help us bring the right solutions to the end users. But on the other hand, we have to remember about the principles of AI, what it is, about ethical AI, about unbiased AI that really helps the users across the globe. I like to think about AI as if it was a 3-4-year-old child. It takes everything you say and it just sinks in and it repeats itself. So if you start feeding it data that is biased, if you start feeding your models with data that is incorrect, it will learn. Like a little child that just heard a curse word for the first time in their life, and then they repeat it 10 times in the wrong environment. That's how you have to sometimes think about AI, especially in the space we are at right now. So thinking about, is it sustainable? Because it is still cloud computing. It still takes a lot of computation. Is the benefit of it balanced out with the environmental impact? Is it ethical? Is it really helping humanity and everyone that's using it? So if we keep those points as guiding principles of AI, then the use cases in our business, there's so much data that AI can really help us think through, work through, and provide the right answers at the right time. So I'm very, very excited. I am definitely not scared, but I am worried of all the challenges we will have to overcome to build AI that actually serves everyone.
Sounds like lots of work, lots of future projects, possibly between SII and Nagel.
Very, very likely, yes.
Thank you, Tom. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you for inviting me to Warsaw.